Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the fourth and the last bottle of the Glou Leader Box. Um, Nice for Dan and Julia to join us on the last bottle of the month. Good to see you all. Um, but we're drinking this guy. Should be the last bottle that's left. I mean, clearly, very clearly, orange wine. Uh, this is non-vintage. So non-vintage Nibiru Oida orange from Cantal, Austria is what we're tasting today. Uh, I'm also loving the fact that most of the bottles this month have all been twist off. And to me, like liter bottles, cork in a liter bottle, it just seems weird to me. It's just like you might as well put a screw cap on it and I'm all about it. Anyways, I don't have a lot of announcements except just next week, next Tuesday is the pickup day for your next month's box. I think everybody on this call is signed up, but yeah, it's a sherry box. So we finally put a sherry box together. So one of the wines is actually technically not sherry. It's like sherry light. It's actually one of the wines, if you guys remember, it's Alvear Tres Miradas. It's like it still goes through floor kind of aging, but much shorter amount of time. We featured that wine before, and I love that wine. And anyways, I threw that back in because I want to taste it at the end just to see if you guys appreciate that wine a little more. And last time it seems like not many people really got it just because there was no reference point, right? Like you kind of have to understand what sherry is and what kind of what aging it does to really understand what that wine is all about. So I thought it would be kind of fun to revisit that wine at the end after tasting through the wine. But anyways, just to give you a little preview, we're calling our sherry box, but it's really all about study of oxidation and oxidative winemaking through the lens of sherry is basically what next month is on. So we're going to talk about a lot of different kind of oxidative winemaking technique, what oxidation does to the wine stylistically and all of that. So it should be fun. I've been wanting to put a sherry box together, and quite frankly, honestly, tasting through it, I was like, we have to do a one-off separate box just for sherry because there's just so much more that I want to cover. There's so many ways to cut sherry, dissect sherry, but we're just going to do a big kind of overview of kind of stylistic differences between different sherries. So anyway, so that's what's happening next month. So yeah, all that will go out. The pickup is on Tuesday. The shipment has already gone out, and the delivery will happen on Tuesday. Cool. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? We can cover all of that next month, but cool. All right. Just in case you're joining us now, we're tasting this guy. It's the last bottle in the box. Non-vintage Nibiru Oida is the orange wine from Cantal, Austria. Here's the map of Austria. You guys have seen this a few times. It should look pretty familiar. So I'm sorry, hold on. Okay. So where is Austria? Kind of shows in here if you have a sense of where Germany, here's Italy, right? Slovenia. So it's like there's a lot of different bordering countries, Germany, Switzerland, Italy. It's essentially Central Europe because it's kind of landlocked. And then there's Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Hungary on the eastern side. So this is kind of what we decide, what we started calling Central Europe. Depending on who you ask, it's still part of the Western Europe. Maybe it's a Central Europe. But if you look at Austria as a whole, as a winemaking country, first of all, let's look at this thing. It's on the kind of 40th parallel. It's pretty far up. It's the same as a Dijon, which is the top of the Burgundy, which is the only other wine region that's north of here is Champagne. Chablis as well. But so very northern tip of Burgundy, Quebec, obviously, and then Everett, Washington. So basically very top of the United States. So we're talking about very northerly latitude. So as you can imagine, the weather here, especially being inland, is very, very continental. Bitterly cold in the wintertime, very, very warm and hot in the summertime. But what makes it different is there's obviously the Alps that run through here, right? It goes through Austria, goes through Italy, and then it goes to Switzerland and into France. But the the Alps that run through here, it kind of blocks all the kind of cold rain, cold snow coming up from the south. So here is where we are in Cantal, in Niederösterreich, which is the biggest wine region, sub-region within Austria, also called Lower Austria. But we are really in Cantal. These three, Cantal, Kremstal, Wachau, we feature wines from here, a region that's really known for their Gruner Veltliner and Riesling, the white wines essentially. Arguably some of the finest white wines, white Rieslings in the world are produced here, as well as the Gruner Veltliner. Some of the most age-worthy kind of white wines come from these particularly three places. But where we are particularly here is in Cantal. The Austria is really some of the, in my opinion, one of the most exciting kind of distinctive wines in the world. It's a small country. It's about the size of Maine, the state of Maine, only about 45,000 hectares under vine. But what I particularly love about Austria is the quality to kind of acreage ratio is incredible, extraordinary. I mean, the wines that come from here are just such high quality. I mean, there's also the shitty part of all of that is they make such good wines, but also they also consume a lot of wine. The Austrians themselves drink a lot of wine, so some of the best wines don't really make it out of the country, and it's hard to get, and sometimes it's expensive. But in terms of the quality, general kind of average quality of the wines that come out, Austria is incredible. There's really, really amazing wines that are coming out of there, and then they also decide to distinctively stick to most of their kind of indigenous varieties. Yes, there are international varieties like Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and things like that grown here. But as you can see, even just on this map, they've really stuck to their indigenous varieties, and then that's what they decide to grow. So we're talking about Gruner Veltliner and Riesling for whites, but you're also going to see a lot of the Germanic varieties like Weissburgunder, um, Pinot Blanc. Pinot Blanc is Weissburgunder, and things like that. But also on the red side, you see things like Zweigelt, Blaufränkisch, so things like that. So very, very fun, very unique, kind of like it is very singular. It has its own kind of a lane that it stays in, and I love that about Austria. Lower Austria, as we were talking about right here, is really defined by this river, the Danube River that runs through it all the way from here and then runs through to Vienna. This is what kind of characterize a lot of it. So different, and then different kind of valleys, dramatic kind of valleys and tributaries that are built off of this rivers is where these vineyards are established. But here, really in Cantal, is named after this particular tributary river that comes off, called Kamp River. So this whole river valley is called Kamp River Valley, and that's where Cantal is named after. I mean, we're talking about when the soil type is, as far as the soil type is spoken, we're talking about like there's very varied and different styles. So there's granite as well as a schist. There's some limestone. There's gneiss. So really depends on where you are. But really, what we're talking about when we're talking about Austria, and particularly these three areas, the Cantal, Kremstal, and Wachau, we're talking about a soil type called loess, Loess. It's less of what kind of geological material or minerals there are. It's more about the size. So loess is predominantly like a silt-sized sediment rock that is formed by the accumulation of wind-blown dust with the accumulation of 20% or less of clay with a balance of roughly equal parts sand and silt, often loosely cemented by calcium carbonate. I know there's a lot of geological geek talk, but I had to look up loess and then exactly determine what it is. But so silt is like somewhere between, we're talking about particular size of the material, the dirt that's in there. So clay is obviously the finest. And then after that is silt, and after is sand. So it's somewhere between sand and clay is basically silt. and Los is all mostly made up of fat. And sedimentary rock that's built by blown sand. Apparently, 10% of the world's rocks are loess. I did not know that, but apparently it's a very common material. And as you can imagine, with that small size of particulate matter, very highly porous, have kind of these vertical capillaries that permit the sediment to like fracture, and then there's like these vertical bluffs that happen, and those things are where the vine roots kind of travel down into. So again, this idea of roots traveling deep down into the ground to access water and nutrients, all that stuff. The same thing happens because of that fracture that happens in those. And that's what gives this area kind of a very unique Gruner-Veltliner expression because of that soil type, as well as obviously the climate, the continental climate that happens here as well. But anyways, even within Kamtal, where we are particularly here is very northern tip right here. I'm gonna fuck up this pronunciation of this town, but it's a THÜRNEUSTIFT. I'm just gonna put it in the chat box. If somebody speaks German, can you please pronounce this? Because I have no idea how to pronounce this. So the wineries come from these two towns. It's the northernmost frontier. Nibiru operates from the village of the first one, the THÜRNEUSTIFT. At the very northernmost corner of Kamtal. It's kind of the edge where they thought, so it becomes very flat as you come off of the Kamtal River and goes into this kind of a river plain. So they thought it wasn't going to be, it's basically northernmost edge of, a lot of people think that the viticulture is possible, or quality viticulture is possible because it just gets very flat. But their vineyards cluster around these two towns, and then the soil here shifts between Los in the lower slopes, and then ancient kind of primary rock with the quartz and decomposed granite and some limestone as well in the upper terraces. So you get a mixture of different soil types that are grown all here. So speaking of which, let's talk about who makes this wine. By the way, so this is what Kamtal looks like. I mean, this is Danube River. I mean, look at how picturesque it is. These kind of terraced vineyards are very common to see here because there's a lot of these kind of slopes. So you might have seen like Gruner-Veltliner terrassen, which is basically, it just tells you that it's grown on terraces. But yeah, this is what it looks like. This is Gruner-Veltliner, this is what it looks like. But anyways, so these two are the winemakers, the young couple. Josef Schenter, I'm gonna put their names in the chat box as well. Josef Schenter and Julia Nather are named of winemakers who make up Nibiru. Josef grew up on his family farm, Weingut Schenter. The farm was a conventional, as most Austrian vineyards were in the early 20th century. So we're talking about full-on herbicides, fungicides, babbies, you name it. His parents and family has been making wine that way for the longest time. And then that's where he learned how to make wine at first, but he didn't really know the land intimately, or, didn't have really this kind of winemaking philosophy. The other one, Julia, on the right, is originally from Bavaria, so she's German, but she worked her way through her fine dining world. She's a sommelier in Vienna before landing in a cellar stint in Schloss Gabelsberg. You might have seen that label, very, very well known, very, very reputable producer. You can actually find it a lot of Whole Foods carry Gabelsberg. The famous restored kind of monastery wine estate, one of the most celebrated producers in Kamtal. It was founded in 1171 by Cistercian monks, considered some of the finest Gruner-Veltliner producer in the world. But it was there that these two met, working in the cellar. So two people from very different world. One is a farm boy, the other one is a Bavarian sommelier, and they fell in love, and then they decided, 900-year-old Cistercian cellar, and then they decided that they wanted to start their own thing and make wine together. So they founded Nibiru using parcels from Josef's family's farm, converting the conventional farm to organic first, and then eventually to biodynamic. It took years, but they actually finally got their Demeter certification, which is a biodynamic certification, in 2022. And it's really working at Gabelsberg is where Josef kind of shaped his philosophy around organic farming, minimal interventions, winemaking, and all that stuff. The name Nibiru is actually drawn from a Sumerian astronomical mythology, a planet described in ancient texts that enters our solar system only every 3,600 years, orbiting in the opposite direction from all other planets. And then they chose it intentionally, idea being. So that area that I was telling you about, Cantal, Wachau, Kremstal, that area, yes, they make very, very some of the highest, quality white wines arguably in the world, but it is also very rigid in terms of its tradition. They make high scoring wines, very rule oriented. It's very tight and rigid world. And they wanted to kind of go in a complete opposite direction with the Nibiru, doing things that are completely outside the box, not bound by the kind of rules of that area. So yeah, counter orbiting planet named Nibiru. They thought it was fitting for what they were trying to do. So anyways, it's 12 hectares of a certified biodynamic vineyard, no fining, no filtration, spontaneous fermentation with the indigenous use only. Very minimal amount of SO2 under 20 ppm is used only at bottling. Zero in some of them, all hand harvest. I mean, all the things that we talk about in natural wine, is basically they do all of that. And it's this kind of stuff. Like initially, I was looking for just Gruner Veltliner until I came across this, and then I was like, I gotta put this in. This is delicious, but this is also a good way to kind of talk about what's happening in Austria and what I find so exciting now. So I feel like Austria has gone through kind of like different waves, right? Like the one, I didn't talk about it this time because I've talked about it in the past, but if you guys remember, back in 1985, Austria went through that kind of antifreeze scandal when some of the winemakers were caught putting antifreeze wine in their antifreeze into their wines to kind of bump up the glycol level, to bump up the body and the mouthfeel. So they got caught, and then they completely tarnished their reputation. And then it took basically 15 years to kind of recover and bounce back. And they made a lot of changes. They after that scandal happened, and after the global kind of export of Austrian wines tanked, they said we're going to have to really change our image. So they really went very quality focused, and that's part of the reason why they make such great quality wines there, because their standard, or at least the regulations around quality, is much higher than the rest of the Europe and rest of the world actually. So anyways, so antifreeze scandal that happened in 1985. 15 years later, they finally recover, and then now they're known world and over for their Riesling and Gruner Veltliner, some of the finest white wines in the world. And that was all through kind of like the 2000s. And then it's really in last, I would say, 10 to 15 years, you're starting to see things like this, where the new kind of young generation of people who are coming in and they say, you know what, like we're not just known for Riesling and Gruner Veltliner, and I want to do things something different and very experimental. So they're making things like this. And because, and I'm sure this has a huge influence, but Austria is also the birthplace of Rudolf Steiner, who's a godfather of essentially biodynamic farming. So consequently, there's huge kind of movement and a push for sustainability, organic/biodynamic farming here. So for natural wine nerds, Austria is kind of a sweet, very, very special place, because not only are the wines delicious, and now there are young people who are really pushing the boundaries, but there's a lot of huge focus on kind of doing things with a minimal intervention. So fun place. Keep your eye out. I always enjoy drinking Austrian wines, but yeah, keep your eye out. And also because of the northerly attitude and climate, there's also always an incredible asset in Austrian wines. Is one of the things that I really like. Anyways, so what is this wine? Let me stop sharing the screen. So this is not a single variety wine. It's a 50% Gruner Veltliner plus a cask of Kostar's Riesling, Müller-Thurgau, Schroeder Veltliner, Weissburgunder, there's some Chardonnay as well, and then Gelber Muscateller. All very indigenous varieties. They're very Germanic varieties. It's essentially a blend of almost like every white variety that Nibiru grows from every parcel, different parcels in their 12 hectares. There's a, you might have seen this. I never featured it on the wine club, but there is a Viennese traditional wine called, again, GEMISCHTER SATZ. I'm going to put that in the chat box as well. It literally means in German mixed set. Is one of Austria's most kind of ancient winemaking traditions. So think of it as basically field wine. Everything kind of grown in one field. They put it all together. It's everyday farmer's wine, everyday drinking wine, and that's what GEMISCHTER SATZ is. And this is essentially their GEMISCHTER SATZ, except it's not a field blend because they are all grown completely separately. All the varieties are grown separately in different plots, and they're actually fermented also separately, and then they're blended back later. But philosophically speaking, it's kind of the same thing that they're trying to achieve, which is that they're trying to get a sense of kind of this kind of a bathtub field blend of all the whites that they grow, and then make it into something that's easy and quaffable, but also delicious. So like I mentioned, this is a 50% Grüner Veltliner. Rest of it is Riesling, Müller-Thurgau, Frohe Veltliner, Weissburgunder Chardonnay, Gelber Muscateller, all also blended across 3 different vintages. So 2020, 2021, 2022. So each lot is vinified separately and brought together all at the end, just kind of create this blend. So as you can imagine, this is completely outside the box. I mean, this is nothing like that you find in Cantal, especially in a prestigious region like Cantal. The fact that they're making wines like this is actually super cool. That I love that. Just kind of talk about the different wines and what they do. So Grüner Veltliner, which is kind of the backbone, is 50% of the blend here. It is the most grown white grape in Austria. It's also the one that they're very well known for. But it is grown in some Czech Republic as well as Slovakia and different parts of Central Europe. But Austria is the one who really has put it on the map, and then the world kind of knows what Grüner Veltliner is now because of Austria. If you've ever had Grüner Veltliner on its own, and it's one of those wines that we've always as a sommelier in training, when we're blind tasting, we're always taught, and this is one of the things that I really love about it. It has this kind of very distinctive, spicy kind of vegetal thing going on. So like white pepper, radish kind of a thing going on, that savory vegetable note in the wine. But it's also on the backbone of like the searing acidity. To me, Grüner Veltliner is like one of those like the perfect summer white wine. I mean, I like drinking it any time of the year, but particularly in the summertime, it's fucking delicious. So once you get to smelling that kind of white pepper, I think there's some of that running through here. I get a little bit of that here. White pepper and the radish thing, like you'll be able to pick it up pretty easily because it's such a like a distinctive kind of thing that you only get in Grüner. The supporting cast here, Riesling, obviously, you guys are all familiar with Riesling. That's what gives it that kind of laser focused acidity, some stone fruit, the peach apricot kind of thing, citrus minerality, all that is coming from Riesling. The Frohe Veltliner is an ancient Austrian variety, one of the parents of Grüner Veltliner, actually. It's less peppery, it has less of the vegetal thing, it's a little bit softer, a little more aromatic. It has kind of that roundness to this wine. The Gelber Muscateller, which is a yellow muscat, essentially, aromatic variety. There's a bit of this kind of orange blossom, peach skin, like rose petal kind of a thing going on, the floral note on this wine. That's coming from the Muscateller. Weissburgunder, which is a Pinot Blanc, that gets the kind of the texture and the weight. The creamy kind of aptly kind of thing that happens here that's from Pinot Blanc. And then Müller-Thurgau, which is the freshness, is kind of grapey, kind of light, kind of brighten things up. And then finally, Chardonnay is what gives it the roundness in the body and all that stuff. It sounds like a lot. This is a funny thing, and maybe the power of suggestion, but I remember when I was tasting this wine, and even though there's all these different varieties that are in here, I could somehow, because maybe explaining what the varieties were, to me, it felt like with this wine feels more like a citrus salad rather than like a soup or like a stew. Like these wines, grapes don't feel like they were all kind of melded together. They all have very distinct lines and then lanes, and then they're playing their own roles. And I kind of see all of these in here. I get some of that kind of a peppery, radish kind of a thing, the vegetable kind of a thing, but I also get that like the acidity from Riesling, but I also get like the Muscat kind of floral lift. So yeah, like I just got all of the things kind of separately, a very linear kind of expression of the wine, which I really enjoy. Anyways, so about 80% of the fruit is fermented in stainless steel, some small lots in neutral barrique. But they're all done. Some are done direct press, so some are actually no skin contact, and some are skin contact. I think that what happened really is that they're not really. I'll be willing to bet that this was kind of like they had all these wines that were like they made different lots that they vinified, obviously over the 2020, 2021, 2022, three different vintages, and they have like odd bits left over, and then they're trying to figure out what to do with all these, and this is probably how they come up with it. It's kind of like the cooking, fridge cooking, like when you just open up the fridge and figure out what's in there, and then you figure out what to make. I feel like this is kind of like what happened, but it's delicious. But anyway, so yeah, some are direct press, so not all of it is skin contact. The skin contact lots macerate on their skins. Doesn't Yeah, it doesn't tell me how long. They're blended together afterwards. Most of them undergo malolactic. Some of them do not. The wine rests on full lees for 6 months. Then it's racked off to fine lees for another year. So it gets about a year and a half of aging. Small amount of sulfur, about 15 ppm at racking. And then it's bottled unfined and unfiltered is what we have here. Oh, and then the name Oida. I was looking this up, and then I was asking my importer about it. But it's apparently a deep kind of Austrian colloquial slang, Viennese dialect specifically. But it's almost like a untranslatable. It's not a formal language; it's a slang. But it could mean anything from like "Hey, dude," like "Wow, man." All these kind of things. So it's like a general exclamation of kind of surprise, recognition, delight. Is basically something that like a friend would shout out at a bar to get your attention when you walk in, like Oida, apparently. So I learned that today. So cool. Any questions about any of that before we taste the wine? Cool. Also, I had suggested that you drink this wine straight out of the fridge, but I actually think now that my wine's coming up to temp a little bit, I actually enjoy it a little bit pulled out. So yeah, I would treat this like the white wine, pull it out of the fridge like 20 minutes before, kind of a thing. All right, let's taste it. Who wants to take the appearance?
I can.
Perfect.
It's a little hazy.
Definitely hazy. Um, I don't know if you guys so when I first pulled this out of the fridge, it was sitting in my fridge for a while. Um, all the sediment had settled, so it was actually quite clear up top. Now it's so I tasted it without the sediment, and then I shook it up and I tasted it with the sediment. I personally like it with the sediment, but if you have not shook up your wine and it's not super hazy, it was quite clear when it wasn't settled. So I recommend.
I flipped mine a couple times before I
Yeah,
got
that's what I did. But I recommend you try both to see what you like. But personally, I think these sediments are just fine and make it better. But yes, as of right now, also in my glass, it just is hazy. This is not cooked. Intensity.
for white wine, I would say medium.
Yeah,
Like it's hard to see through it.
agree. I'll call this medium as well. What do you
Um,
think you call it?
color like gold or no, this isn't rosé. It's like gold-ish.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of gold here. It's quite yellow, very gold.
Yeah.
But I also do get a little bit of like orangey, coppery kind of a hue in
Yeah.
there as well. But yeah, so like orangey, like
It's
a gold.
like a gold orange. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, exactly. Gold with like a flecks of orange in is what I
Yeah.
was. Any other observations?
I did not have any bubbles when I poured
Yep.
it.
Cool. Perfect. You get to pick the next person for the news.
Does anyone want to do the nose? Maybe I'll pick Julia and Dan because they're right under me. And I haven't seen them in a while since I picked up my wine.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I
You're
feel
welcome.
like just like comment on the what it looks like. It's a little bit off grid, right? Like I feel like the grid is not really made for this type.
Correct. 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 You would be 100% correct. Like you would never see this on an exam.
Right.
To me, honestly, it's like the color of a bee's knees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this one's clean.
You call this clean?
It's not
Cleanish. It's not.
faulty.
It's
Yeah,
not,
it's not faulty.
but yeah.
It's sound. Wine
It's
is
not
sound.
squeaky clean either.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. It's not squeaky clean. It's not lab clean. But yeah, by all intents and purposes, it's not faulty. The wine is completely sound. Intensity,
It's pretty intense.
very good. Expressive,
Like,
right?
yeah, I would say medium
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, like I get it from here.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of aromatic variety. There's a Riesling in here. There's Muscat in here. There's Muller-Thurgau. Like all those things. Yeah, very expressive. I'm gonna call this medium plus as well. Medium plus intense aromas. Ooh, what do you got?
I do get, I guess maybe some like honeysuckle.
Yeah, there's definitely some flower in here for sure.
Yeah, like how blossom is just generically listed on the floral, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I get
Oh,
blossom.
totally. Blossom, honeysuckle, this chamomile. I think these are all great
Yeah.
notes from this floral thing. I get a little bit of all of that.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
green fruit?
White flower.
Not really. Maybe like
I feel like I get like
maybe like a pear or something.
or like a yellow apple, but not a green.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I get a little bit like yellow apple, like a Basque pear, not a green pear.
Yeah,
but like a brown
exactly.
Pear. But yeah, I guess some green fruit here for sure. Any citrus?
I mean, maybe a little bit of like a peel, like a
Yeah,
orange
I get
peel,
some zest.
like a zest. Yeah.
Totally. I got some orange peel in here. I got some like a preserved lemon.
Yeah.
For sure. Any stone fruit?
Yeah. A lot of stone fruit.
Mm-hmm. It's peachy.
Yeah.
An apricot. Yeah, I get quite a bit of stone
I mean,
fruit.
honestly, I wouldn't really be able to tell the difference between apricot and a nectarine if for being honest.
Yeah, you
but-
can. Yeah, you can.
I mean,
You
if
can
I
totally tell the
if I ate, I don't know if not if I smelled them, I don't think.
I think you will. They're very different. Very.
All right, all right.
Tropical?
I feel like I might get a little bit of melon on here.
Or like
Okay.
a mango even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like such a unique profile. There are like so much different things going on there. Okay. Any red fruit, black fruit?
No.
Yeah. Nature of the fruit.
It's fresh.
Fresh, Like in some cases, maybe a little like a dried
Yeah, totally.
fruit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, dried, preserved. We got
yeah,
some of the like orange peel. Like the orange peel to me particularly is kind of a little dried orange peel.
yeah.
Even chamomile, dried chamomile kind of thing. But yeah, so fresh as well as fresh and ripe as well as dry. Any herbaceous, herbal, spice, anything?
I don't really get too much on the nose.
Yeah, I feel like tasting it, I might get some of that white pepper, but on the nose, I don't. I
Yeah,
can't recommend it.
The
it is. Yeah, the fruit and the flower is like so expressive here. I think this.
yeah.
I definitely remember thinking that there was this kind of like a savory quality behind layered of savory quality behind all this like really ripe fruit and flower. So maybe let's talk about it when we get to tasting.
Yeah.
Any minerality?
Not really. I mean, again, it's like I think it, yeah.
Not on the nose. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get a whole lot of it either. It's very, very kind of a fruit,
Yeah.
primary, all that. Any secondary, tertiary?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither. Still very, very fresh. Still
What
very much
what years did you say the fruit is from this?
2020, 2021, 2022.
Okay.
Let me double check that, make sure. Yeah, 2020, 2021, 2022. So it's got a little bit of age. I mean, it's not nothing, but still to me, it's still very fresh. There's nothing kind of nothing tertiary about this. All right, you get to pick the next person for the palette.
Anybody want to do palette?
Bueller. Bueller.
It looks like Chris is a little engaged, so maybe Phil.
Yeah, no
Mr.
problem.
Dahan.
I'm here.
All right,
Okay, late, but I'm here.
take us through the palette. The
Yeah.
palette.
Okay. You see. This wine is dry. Yeah, dry. And I'd say a medium to maybe medium plus acid. Uh, a little bit
Really
hot.
good acid. Yeah, really good acid.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, medium plus acid for sure. I mean,
yeah.
making my eyes water.
I mean,
Uh,
and I don't know because maybe it was on the leaves. It might have some tannin, a little bit bitter, a little sandiness type.
Agreed. There's a little bit of grip. Not a
Mhm.
whole lot. I mean, it's not a
No.
lot, but there's definitely a little textural kind of a thing going on here. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
call this like low, maybe medium minus, but like yeah, low tannin.
And alcohol, it's on the low side. It doesn't.
Oh,
I don't feel it, but maybe there is.
what would you call the percentage?
12, 11 and a
Yeah.
half, 12.
Yep, 12%. So right on the dot. So that's medium. Body.
Body. I guess that's maybe the medium minus, a little light.
I'm gonna call this medium. There's some weight. And that's the thing, right? Like not only is the skin giving that some of the textural in the body, Chardonnay gives it the body, Pinot Blanc gives it some weight. This is what I'm talking about. Like these wines, these different varieties are like playing different roles. If this is a Gruner, just Riesling, and obviously different styles that you can get, like the Riesling from Austria can be a little more powerful than like a Riesling from like Mosel to say. But in general, like this is not it's not light. Like there's just there's some viscosity, there's some weight to this wine. I won't go high, but yeah, I'll call this medium.
Okay, I'll go with the medium with that too.
Okay.
There's no mousse. Flavor intensity it's got some flavor. I mean, it's got some,
Okay.
taste to it. So I'll give that a medium to a medium plus.
Agreed.
And
Very expressive.
yeah, And yeah, I agree with the taste of some like a lemon and a green apple, maybe a little bit. Some and no stone fruit, no tropical, no
No
red.
stone fruit. I get a lot.
You got a peach flavor?
Yeah, I get like a peachy, apricot-y, particularly like the skin of a peach, like which is a little bit different. Like not the flesh of the peach. If you guys ever like chew on just the skins of peach, you get the peach essence, but there's like the kind of little bit of bitterness from the tannin and all of that. Like I get some of that here.
Yeah. I do get a little bitterness that I thought was more like an apricot seed.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, okay. Like the stone, like your pit.
Yeah,
There's definitely some phenolic bitterness here for sure. I mean, which goes to show the skin. There's phenolics that are extracted from there. Yeah, there's a touch of bitterness there for sure. And I think it's quite nice actually that like balance against all this like really expressive fruit. But this idea, what Julia was it?
It's not objectionable, that little bitterness.
Right. And what Julia and Dan were talking about, like, we're going for the floral, got a honeysuckle.
It's got some sweet, some flower sweetness.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so many different things going on, like floral, I got some green fruit, I got some citrus, peels, peach, apricot. Maybe on the palate, like maybe some like these like salted pineapple, maybe some passion fruit, but like, I could be convinced of that. Definitely no red or black.
I don't get a salinity in this at all. I don't get salinity from this wine. It's pretty clean.
Yeah, nothing really. Maybe touch of salt, but like not like super.
No,
it's not super salty.
But I do agree there's some jumping down that herbaceousness or a white pepper.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like this that kind of radishy kind of a thing underneath all of that. There's a little bit like a touch of a spicy kind of vegetable thing. And again, this may be just me knowing that 50% of this is Gruner. Like to me, that's like such a telltale sign of Gruner. Like arugula, radish, white pepper, all that. To me, like I feel like I get some of that here. Underneath all of that, like really expressive fruit and flowers and all of that. I get a little bit of honey as well here. Yeah. Any minerality?
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a stony taste at the end in the finish.
Yeah, I actually get it.
Like,
earlier when we were talking about tropical, I was going to call out maybe like salted pineapple. There's something like a little bit salty and pineapple-y kind of a thing going on here. But yeah, but it's not hugely like it's not like a mineral driven wine. It's very, very fruit and flower kind of a driven thing. But to your point, some of that little bit of phenolic bitterness, some of that kind of a spicy, peppery, kind of a radishy kind of a thing, vegetables, savoriness. All that is definitely there on the palate. And also, I just poured myself a new glass. I definitely get some of that kind of a CO2, dissolved CO2. There's a little bit of prickle in the wine as well. So I just wanted to note that too. Any secondary, any tertiary, any sign of aging on this one?
No, I don't. This is fresh. This is fresh.
Agreed.
Straight up.
How long is the finish?
The finish ends with a little bitterness. It stays with you, which is not objectionable. I like it. It tastes great. I mean, it would be. I think this would be great with like pizza. I like the finish, so I give that a medium plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's like somewhere between medium. But I'm not like quite ready to call it fully medium plus. but it's not nothing. It's definitely at least medium, bordering on medium plus is what I would call on this thing. Cool. Bring it home for us, Phil. How good is this
Okay.
wine? Would you age it?
Well, it's got a variety of it's got acid, it's got some tannin that would comes from, I guess, the leaves of the, turning it orange. It's got some body. So I think this is a good to very good wine.
Yeah, I mean, I think this wine is very well balanced.
Yeah,
We
I do
picked
too.
out, yeah, no secondary or tertiary, but bunch of different stuff in primary, like solidly medium, high end of medium maybe, and the complexity wise. Concentration, we all again call it medium plus on the nose, medium plus on the palate. Length, we call this somewhere between medium plus. So when we take average all of that, balance, medium plus intensity, medium to medium plus concentration, and then medium to medium plus length. So when we put it all together, we're landing somewhere between medium plus.
Yeah,
maybe
we're
closer
very
to
good.
medium plus. So yeah, I'm gonna call this very good. If you call this good, I think it's perfectly justifiable. But yeah, I think I'm gonna, being a generous taster that I am, I'm gonna call this medium plus. I mean, very good. Now, would you age this?
Well, I think it was made to drink now.
Yeah.
The orange wines are usually made to drink now and not to hang around, but this could probably last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, some orange wines can age and will age forever. Like a lot of those Georgian, really like tannic ones, they'll go forever. But wines like this, it's not meant to be. I mean, yes, it's got acid, good acid. It's got a little bit of tannin, so it's not going to fall apart anytime soon. But what makes this wine delicious is all that freshness, all these different fruits, and immediate kind of approachability, and then the ripeness of the fruit. So I don't want that to go away in replacement for something savory and tertiary. I just don't think it's going to make the wine more delicious, even though it's not going to fall apart. So to your point, exactly. I think this wine is perfectly fine for the next 3 years. I say drink it over 3 years, it'll probably be perfectly fine. But drink it now.
And I think that because it's in a liter, the winemaker wanted you to drink it all.
Exactly. Just drink it now. I mean, it's a screw cap. It's not even this, to me, it's not even like a wine bottle. It's like a 40 bottle, just how narrow the top is. So yeah, drink it now. Cool. Perfect. Good job, everyone. Any questions? Did you guys like this one?
Yeah, I like it.
Did anybody not like this one? Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is crowd pleaser. I mean, it's delicious, It's like a perfect entry orange. Somebody's like, I've never had orange wine before. Like, let me start you with this. So it's not something crazy, especially by the poolside. Perfect. Let's play every favorite game. How much do you think this wine is on a retail shelf? How much would you be happy paying for this on a retail shelf? It's a liter. It doesn't come from a very prestigious region of Austria, even though I don't think this is even Kamptal. It just comes from Kamptal, but I don't think they have Kamptal on the label. I don't think they can, regulation-wise. Yeah, definitely not. It's non-vintage. I mean, something completely outside the box. It's a liter. We called it very good. How much? 22 to 28, 24, 24, 27, 99, 25, 30. Okay. So like I mentioned, one of the things about Austria is that like the wine quality is very good, but it can also be a little expensive just because it gets gobbled up by their own consumption. But anyways, this on a retail shelf would be $31. So that comes out to 23, 24 for 750. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I think this is, I'd be very happy if I picked this up on my way to a pool party, and then this is what I got for $30. I'd be very happy. Cool. Any questions? Any objections? Any opinions?
I have a question that
Yeah.
has possibly been asked before this month, but this is our first time
Mhm.
with this leader box.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, just based on your knowledge, I don't know if you've talked to like winemakers, but like the calculus behind making a liter versus a 750 milliliter bottle, like, you know, it like as a consumer, it says something to me when a bottle is a liter. But like how do winemakers think about that choice? You know, do you get what I'm saying?
I think that's exactly what you think is exactly right. I think they want you the wines that they want you to drink. Like the last that I don't know if you guys drink that the red wine, Bovan with a cow on the label. This one that we tasted last week is a Loire Gamay. But on the label, there's a little French quote or like a phrase that's written on there. And then it basically, in English translation, is to be consumed in one sitting, essentially. That's basically what it says. So if that tells you any indication of what the winemakers are thinking, yeah, there's that. And some of these places also is a just tradition as well. Historically, that's what they bottle the wines in, a liter, particularly certain styles of wine. So uh, the fuck, what is that term that I use for the Viennese traditional wine, GEMISCHTER SATZ. Those are oftentimes traditionally bottled in 1 liter bottles. So it makes sense that if they're trying to make something along that kind of same vibe, that they would bottle it in a liter bottle.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like maybe this is like my sort of cynical capitalist side of my brain. Think like, you know, it's or it's like raging against that, but it, you know, like liter bottles tend to be, you know, like they tend to be more sort of fun, more sit down. They don't, they're not generally 33% more expensive
Right.
than the regular bottle, even though they're 33%, you know, larger in volume.
Yep.
So it's like they're not doing it for economic reasons.
Right.
I don't know, like, yeah, I would be curious to talk to a winemaker, especially one who's like, this is not traditionally what we do. I have chosen to do something different by selling in a liter, you know, like,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I mean that's an excellent question. I just haven't done the research, but I never understood why wines were bottled in a 750 anyway.
right.
Like it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you bottle it in a liter? Like, but yeah. Um, but oftentimes when I have seen, because I've seen some like a really quote unquote high end premium producers make liter bottles, and it's like their way of almost. Some people say like it's almost some winemakers believe it's their duty, their responsibility as a winemaker, especially as they become very highly recognized and their wine prices go up. They actually have to make
Yes.
wines for everyday people, the everyday drinking wine. And so I've seen some of those people actually make a liter bottle just to distinguish themselves as a different line. So 750s are there kind of like the estate wines, and that's what they're built their reputation on. And the 1 liter bottles are like, I want the party with my village people kind of wine. But I have never seen quote unquote serious wine bottled in a liter bottle. Yeah. Anyways, um, it's gotta exist. Maybe back in the days, but I haven't seen it. Any other questions? No questions? All right. Well, hearing none, I'm going to stop the recording.